Hello and welcome to Gardening with Ben. What's on now a nice sunny January day. In this video we're going to talk about what jobs need to be done in the garden and the allotment in January of 2023. So sit back, relax and enjoy today's episode. Good morning and welcome to Gardening with Ben. In this video we're going to talk about all the different jobs which need doing in the garden and the allotment, from the vegetable garden to the flower garden to the fruit area as well. So yeah, it's obviously a January at the moment and it's freezing cold, and it can be wet, it can be snowy, it can be raining, it can be torrential, it can be windy, which is turning windy now. But yeah, there's so many jobs that need doing in the garden and the allotment at this time of year. Obviously not much is growing down here at the allotment, but there's certainly plenty of jobs that you can do to prepare yourself for the year ahead. So in this video we're going to talk about what needs to be done in the vegetable garden, fruit garden and in the flower garden. So yeah, first off we're going to be talking about what needs to be done in the vegetable garden. Now there's not a lot to be done in the vegetable garden at this time of year because there's nothing that you can really be growing much around now, apart from the things that I mentioned in my previous video of what seeds can be sown. So if you've not checked out that video, make sure you go and check it out and see what seeds can be sown this month. So first off we're going to be talking about what you can do with peas. Now some sort of peas can be planted at this time of year, but if you're going to be planting them early on, you need to be warming up that soil so that it'll help them germinate. And the way that we warm up the soil is by putting like black membrane down, cardboard down, just to give it that extra warmth so that it's not rock hard when the peas are ready for planting. So you're giving it that extra warmth. Then you can obviously, once it's warmed up, then you can sow the seeds and you can cover them back up for a bit until they germinate, and then take it off ready for them to start sprouting. But obviously remember about the mice and the rats and the squirrels, because they will come and nibble at them. So make sure they're well protected and safe from planting. Next up are parsnips. Now if you've been growing parsnips through the winter, now is the time to be harvesting them, especially after the frosts that we've had and the cold weather. The frost adds that extra bit of crispiness and taste to the parsnips. Now you're not meant to pick your parsnips until after the first frosts and the snow, because it does add that taste. So if you're planning on growing them this year, do not harvest them until after the frosts have been, because it adds so much nice flavour to them. Next up are potatoes. Now if you're growing potatoes in a greenhouse or in a polytunnel, you need to make sure that it's kept warm so that it keeps them growing. Not many people grow them through the winter period, but if you are growing them, make sure you keep them warm so that it doesn't kill the plants off, because the cold weather will kill the plants off. They are a lot safer inside a greenhouse, but they will die off if you get them too cold. Now obviously in my previous episode I was talking about now is the perfect time to be chitting your potatoes if you are going to be growing them this year. Obviously you don't want to be planting them outside yet because it is too cold. You're not meant to be planting them until March, April time. So obviously if you're chitting them, make sure that they're in a light greenhouse where they're kept cool, and they will start sprouting, and put them in the egg boxes separate so that they can start sprouting. You don't want them all clumped together or they will rot. Next up is what needs to be done in the fruit garden at this time of year. Now in the fruit garden there's plenty that can be done at this time of year. Now if you've not done your pruning, you need to look at doing your fruit tree pruning. Now I've just pruned my cooking apple tree, which is behind me, because I'd not done that, and the only things that you can prune are apples, pears, You don't want to be pruning anything that's got a stone inside it, like a plum tree or a cherry tree or an apricot tree or a peach tree. You're meant to prune them in the summertime, just after they've fruited. So you're not meant to prune them in the winter. You're only meant to prune your apples and your pears at this time of year. So if you need to do your pruning, make sure you give them a pruning. And obviously you can also buy a winter wash, what you can spray on, which I need to still do, and that stops all the winter caterpillars and moths hibernating and laying their eggs ready for the springtime. So give them a winter wash as well to give them that extra protection for the year to come. Now, if you've not pruned your fruit bushes, like your currants, your gooseberries, your blueberries, they can still be pruned at this time of year while they are dormant. Obviously, if you want to take some cuttings to get them started and to get them germinated and growing as extra plants, this can still be done. So have a go at taking some cuttings and seeing if you can get some growing, and give them to a plot neighbour or to a friend if they're just starting out on a plot. It's always good to give free plants away to save having to purchase them yourselves. Next up is rhubarb. Now, I grow lots of rhubarb down here. I've got about 16 plants. Yes, 16 plants, that is a lot of plants. But they need feeding at this time of year. They're just starting to wake up, they're just starting to sprout and get growing for the year ahead. Now, the way that I feed them, I just sprinkle some chicken pellets around them, but make sure you don't put them on the crown, because it can burn the crown and kill it off. The same goes for manure. If you're putting manure on it, don't put it on the crown, put it around the crown, as that can rot the crown and you can lose your rhubarb plant, and you don't want to do that. So that is all the jobs which need doing in the fruit garden. Now, last up is what jobs need to be done in the flower garden. There's certainly not many jobs to be done in the flower garden whatsoever at this time of year, but there's still a couple of things that you can be doing. Now, if you're growing winter pansies, I've not got any this year, but if you're growing any winter pansies, keep deheading them, as they will help keep flowering them and keep them growing throughout the winter period. And the more you dehead them, the more flowers will grow on them. And last but not least is if you're growing roses. If you've not pruned these, prune them now. If they've got any buds on them, what have been on from last year, prune them off and let them get ready for starting afresh. Give them some food, give them some manure. Again, be careful where you put it, because you don't want to rot the crown, the stalk, the plant. You don't want to rot that rose plant and stop it from growing. So give it some food, get it ready for growing beautiful this year. So that is all the jobs which need doing in the flower garden. Now, if you did enjoy this video, make sure you do click that subscribe button to stay up to date with all our videos. We're going to be doing loads of videos this year, so stay tuned for that. If you don't follow me on Facebook or Instagram, give me a follow on them, Gardening with Ben, and I do live videos. I share lots on there as well, and I've got podcasts as well, Gardening with Ben podcast, which has lots and lots of episodes on, if you've not listened to that already. So yeah, thank you for watching. Until next time, remember, keep smiling, keep gardening, and keep listening to Gardening with Ben.